videos is how to mod by Night Champion. It's not mods like online mods or anything. I don't know how to import this to consoles. I'd assume it's the same thing that you would do for the Undisputed Forever mod for UFC. Um, Either way, this is only textures. It doesn't change anything in game other than what you see. It is for you only. Like, if you were to somehow get it on console, no one else would see it except for anyone else that had the same mods downloaded. So it's just local stuff. All you really change would be, like, I don't know, venues, gloves. You can change what the ring looks like. You can change what the gloves look like. It just kind of depends on what you want to change. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to navigate to whatever emulator you use, open this game folder, right? And you're going to go over to, you're going to get this page right here, right? It's going to be in here. And you can press user directory, data, PS3, Game Explorer, and this folder right here. And you're going to see this big file, right? So you're going to copy and then you're going to paste it somewhere else, right? Pick somewhere that like you have room. As you can see, there are a lot of different files, and it's going to look like this. So you're going to have this right here. What you need to do is you need to download the big file extractor and Quick BMS. And with Quick BMS, you're going to need this little tool right here to unchunk zip all these files, right? So going through it, let's see. I'll just let you guys through it real quick. Let's see. Open up right here, big file extractor. Open big. You're gonna find wherever you pasted the big file from before. So me in here, right? Press open. It's gonna take a minute usually, but once everything's open, you'll see all the different files through here, like this. You're gonna press extract all, and then in the same folder that you were before, right? So after you do all that, right, you're gonna have all the different files from before that I showed you. That would be all these. So let's say you want to change, I don't know, gloves, right? Go to boxer, go to gloves, go to textures, find what you want to change. As you can see, they all have names, but some of them have numbers as well, or they all have numbers, but when you look, you see zebra 1, 2, and zebra 1, 1. So the way it works is that 1, 1 is a different type of material than 1, 2. Think metallic and leather, right? So you're gonna take whatever you want to change, whether it's all of them or none of them, So I took the rival gloves, I took all of them, right? Copy them, and then you're gonna paste them somewhere else in another folder where you're gonna need the GTF to DDS, and you're gonna need DDS to GTF. So what you're gonna do is once they're pasted here, you're gonna go back and run Quick BMS. You're gonna want to run chunk DL or chunk lzx.bms, right? And you're gonna want to unpack all these different files. As you can see, for instance, let's see, 86, 513, right? They're all like decent size. While if I were to go back to textures, so where would, okay, right here, perfect. So trunks, regular long, right? GTF file. We're gonna go over to trunks, say regular long, somewhere around here, right? So this is Adidas. I have, let's see which one. Alright, so it's Everlast. So we're gonna scroll down to E, Everlast. You can see the different size files. The smaller ones are the ones I haven't edited. The bigger ones, like so. have been edited before. And so you're gonna have them real small before you decompress them. Once you decompress them, they're gonna be bigger. And you're just gonna take, let's say, alright, I'm just gonna do all of these, right? Alright, like so. After they're decompressed, you can see they're made into different files. So I'm just gonna delete these now since I don't need them anymore, right? So we're just gonna do all of them until they're all the same file, right? Don't mind me, I'm incredibly unorganized, as you can clearly see. I'm also doing a lot of files at once for multiple reasons, but none of which really matter. None of this really matters, it's just what I'm actually doing. I'm not starting from the beginning, I'm kind of fast tracking this, which probably isn't smart if I want to be as comprehensive as possible. However, I'm also trying to do this while I mess with the textures, so since I'm not trying to waste time, I'm kind of skipping ahead a bit. But it'll be a bit different because I'm also going to go through the venue after I'm done with what I'm doing now, and editing the venues is pretty much the same, except that it's going to take a little bit more time than this, and I'll be starting almost completely from the beginning, as this is just kind of how I made it easier for myself over time to not waste time doing the same thing over and over again. Whereas, well, I've done the same thing with the venues, it's still not a lot you can do to, save a whole lot of time. So, just gonna keep going through this. Got all of them. Alright. So, now we have all of these. So, you're gonna want an application called GIMP. It is a lot like Photoshop. It pretty much is Photoshop. It's free. You can download it wherever. Back to my normal view. Alright, so let's start with something. I'm gonna redo the rival gloves. Those are a little bit more difficult to do. So those aren't gonna be the main focus here. What we're gonna start with is all these short Everlast shorts. So you have long and you have short shorts. The difference is obviously the length of the shorts, which you see in game. You have the long and short shorts. So we're gonna start from right here. This is the first one. As you see, GIMP's gonna open. Don't worry about this stuff. Just okay it. Boom. This is the first one. It's a texture file. Half the trunks on this side, half the trunks on that side. So now that you've seen what it looks like, we're just gonna go ahead and open all the regular trunks. And as you can see, they're all open now, right? So keep okaying it. Alright, so we're going to take a look at all these different trunks in a second, and I'm going to go through what each and every last thing is, basically, as far as I understand it, and as far as I can explain it, because I'm not the greatest with all of this. So, I assume these right here are just the outlines. I'm not completely sure, as, like I said, I don't fully understand everything. I only understand so much. I've gone through trial and error to understand it myself. So, some of these you will need, some of these you won't, right? It just kind of depends. If we're going to take a look at all these different files, we're going to go through what you would most likely want to edit, how to edit it, how to save it, and everything else from here on out. So, like I said, these are the outline, I believe. I don't believe you need these. I could be completely wrong. Obviously, don't delete them from the main file that you took out of your game in the first place, but you don't need to replace these at all as far as I know. As you can see, everything has a different name up here. This right here will all be the same for the trunks. However, depending on the different texture of the trunks, say satin, sequin, velvet, metallic, it's going to have a different number, right? That will be the second number right here. This first number right here is usually what number it is when you're selecting the fight kit.
Still trying to use.
So when you go to the fight kit, you're going to have different name trunks, and you see at the bottom when you're selecting through the trunks, you have 1, 2, 3, right? So it's going to be for each short one. So the first short trunks is 1, the next pair of short trunks is 2, 3, and so on, right? This number does not correspond to its number overall, but its number in the order of short trunks. So we're just going to go through what we don't need, which seems to be this. I'm still trying to figure out what this is. I don't know myself. We don't need that as far as I know. We don't need this. We're just going to get rid of these that we don't really need, right?
Meow, meow,
Whoops.
meow, meow, meow.
I accidentally got rid of one. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to fast track this. I'll reopen them again in a minute anyways. But it's just kind of going through all different things. So, let's see. This right here. This is the logos that are usually on the trunks. Now, you don't necessarily need to have this. You could literally just erase this. It doesn't change anything. If you erase it, they'll no longer be on the trunks. If you decide to replace it with something, they'll appear on the trunks. So let's take a look real quick. Right here, right, you'll see this is where these patches will be. So you have these patches, right? These patches will be directly on here, with one being the back, one being the front. So if you want to get rid of the Everlast logo, you literally just switch colors, do that. Like, that's not an exaggeration, that's all it takes. We're not going to do that. I'm going to reopen it because I messed up myself. But this is just so it's understandable what you can and can't do quickly. So, if you want this to replace something, for instance, right, you could always cover it up with the same color, right? This isn't meant to be incredibly good right now. This is just kind of to show what it can be. And then look online, something you'd want, say Mayweather's TMT logo. You would copy and paste it into a blank file, so just do new, same size and width as this file right here, which is what you want. You would copy and paste the image. Once the image is copied and pasted, you just have to adjust the size so that it fits right in here, the same way Everlast does, right? And that's all there is to it about, saving it. So I'm going to go through and edit one of them in a second just to show you guys, but I'm going to keep explaining first. Let's start. So as far as I know, the way this works, you see black is uneditable. You can't edit the black, but you can edit red and green. There are 3 colors that correspond to the different editable colors. When I say editable, that means that you are able to change the colors in-game. Same way you can change short colors, everything. The way it works is that the first layer, the first one you're able to change colors with, not the waistband, would be red. Waistband is green. And then the next editable color is blue, right? So if I were to sit here and it's not here. Okay, so I usually just take the exact color by coming here, pressing this, do that. Okay, so I can change this right here. It's black and uneditable. It's green now if I wanted to. And the way it works is that this uneditable line from before is now the same color as the waistband, and so on. Everything works like that in this game. All of them are the same. Every file has green and red at the very least, unless it is something that can't be changed. When I say something that can't be changed, that doesn't mean that you can't go over and change it, but it does mean that you would have to go through and completely redo the art. What do I mean by that? Okay, so we're gonna go back here. We look, right? Let's say, trying to find a good one. Okay, Gambo, where was he? Okay, we're just gonna use Ricky Hatton as an example. Go back to that. So you see R Hatton 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Gotta take out these. Copy them. Open this up right here. Paste. Big file extractor. Quick VMS. Alright, so we now have Ricky Hatton and Vice Versa over there. They are. Give me a second to find them. Okay. That's a pen. Alright, so I'm gonna take a look at Ricky Hatton's fight shorts real quick. As you can see, they look different. Now, why do they look different? That's because they are actual art done by the people who made the game, obviously EA. The way it works basically is if you wanted to replace this, instead of just changing colors and everything, you would have to fully redo it. So that means you would have to change the waistband. This is the waistband up here. This is what's on the waistband. You would change everything about it. That means you can create complete custom trunks the same way that EA did. But the way it works is that you would also have to redo everything here, which is very difficult in my experience, and I don't have the best track record with this. You see the weird texture. This is the sequin texture for the different shorts, right? These shorts are specifically sequin texture no matter what, so this is what the texture actually looks like. So redoing it would be very difficult. Not to say it can't be done, it's just difficult. And that's just to be used as an example. So now that we know all this, right, we're gonna go and redo this. So delete those. Alright. files open. We're going to go all the way through all of them. And we're going to delete the unnecessary files. Well, we're not deleting them, but closing them out. So, don't get that, don't get that. So as far as I'm aware, this is the texture of the shorts. You have different textures all throughout. For instance, this is sequins. I'm pretty sure this is satin. I believe this is velvet. Or maybe this is velvet or metallic. I think this might be metallic. I'm not completely sure. As you can see through the numbers up top for the different types of, you know, like I said before, it's the different types of material correspond to the second number. Then the first number right here responds to what number the shorts are and which shorts they are. So it's basically number IDs. Let's go and change something. So I believe the way that these shorts work are, let's see, due to the red line, black, which usually can be edited, and I could be wrong on this. I believe these shorts specifically are the Everlast shorts. They have the nice little, what's it called? Kind of like a ring, basically, where the bottom of the trunk itself can be edited, and it's like a ring underneath. So, put simply, top of shorts, end of shorts. End of shorts are different colors than the top, right? So if we wanted to change something, say I wanted to, I'm trying to think. I don't know. Let's just say I want to get rid of the Everlast logo. That's pretty easy. This is alright, so get rid of the Everlast logo. Let's do it on these shorts first, over here. These have a little side stripe. They are Everlast side stripe short. The blue means it can be edited as a third color. We're not gonna really pay attention to this. I'm gonna get rid of that Everlast logo in a minute. So start from, alright, so everything from here back. What to do with this? Simple to what I'm doing at least. Does it work? Not incredibly well, but it works nonetheless. Let's see. If I had to assume, these are the trim lines on the actual shorts. I'm not going to cover them up. I am, however, going to cover up. I no longer want this little side stripe, right? So we're going to cover that up like so. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go to File, Export As. You're going to want to export it as a DDS. Don't change anything else really, like the file size. When you export it, you have the Export As option. It's going to save with the same name. Just don't change anything about it. Make sure it exports the exact same way that it was imported. So don't need this anymore. Now what do I want to do here? Um, I'm not the most creative guy, but I'm gonna throw on, let's say, I think it's a good idea. Trying to think. See if I can find something. Uh, Trying to find something simple that doesn't take a lot to do. Trying to use a real representation as well. So, oh, I got a great idea. Okay. So let's say, for instance, right, you are, I don't know, Mexican and American. So you're a Mexican American, right? You see a lot of Mexican American fighters where they'll have one flag on one side of trunks and a flag on the other, right? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna press new. It's the same size as the file you're currently in. You want that for a reason. Then we're gonna do another one. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna copy the American flag from Google. Just look up American flag PNG, right? I'm gonna copy the image, and as you can see, it's pasted, right? Now we're gonna do the Mexican flag. Let's see. All right, this is good. So same thing as you just did. Copy, pasted. Now that we have all of this, right? All you're gonna do is press Control C again. You're gonna see exactly where it lines up, because when you take, something so big, right, where it's the exact same size as the entire file, and you paste it over, you see it takes over the entire file. So what we're gonna do something called adding a layer, right? So you create a new layer, and the reason you create a new layer is because you don't want to have everything on a singular layer. Otherwise, it's hard to have overlays, such as, let's say this Everlast was on a different layer, and down here it was not above the text trunks layer. It wouldn't show up. So we're gonna do new layer group, right? We're gonna add the trunks in, and then we're gonna edit the size of the Mexican flag now. We want it to be roughly the same size as the side stripe, because that's the side we're taking up. So you're gonna right click, press image, then you're gonna press scale image. We're gonna say that most likely we want it to be longer but not as tall. So it can stay this way, but it's going to be at least a third of the size, most likely. I'm going to do 200 by 100 because that makes the most sense to me. You're going to go back, right click, image, transform, and you're going to rotate it 90 degrees, like so. Right? So now you're just going to copy the edited version. Control V. As you can see, it takes up almost the entire thing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit it myself until I get the right size. It's kind of trial and error. So I'm just going to Control Z. Needs to be longer. So if you don't want to lose how many pixels are in it. When every time that you scale the image, it'll get progressively more pixelated. So you just want to control Z it until you trial and error the right size. I want to say, well, I think this should be about good. And then we're gonna flip it. Control C. Control V. It's a little too long now. It's just trial and error nonstop. That's all it is. So I'd say this is about good, right? So, as you can see, it's under the layer group, but it is above the trunks layer. Now, the reason that the layers matter is because if I were to move this underneath the trunks layer, you see how it disappears? So you want it above the trunks layer at all times. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lock it. We're going to make it so it's not visible. We're going to go back and select the trunks layer. And all we're going to do, here, take this red, right, or, I don't even need to do that. Normally I'd just say do this. But you don't need to do that. And there's a reason for it, which I'm going to show in a second. The reason I'm waiting a second, though, is because I want to make sure that I line everything up correctly. So now we're going to take the Mexican, I mean not the Mexican, we're going to take the American flag. We're going to do the exact same thing that I just did. Literally the exact same. We're not going to change a single thing. I'm going to use the exact same scale that I did before, which is 266 by 122 for a reason. It's a little short, but it gets the job done nonetheless, and that's what matters. It doesn't need to be the entire thing. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's whatever you want as a person, because everybody has different standards, and it's going to come down to how you want it to look. I mean, I want everything perfect, so this isn't something I'm going to keep, most likely. However, this isn't the point. It's not about keeping it. Okay. That worked. Control C, right? Control V. Now, as you can see, because it's a copy and pasted image, while it has the same exact amount of pixels, it's bigger. So we need to keep trial and error. Now, it might look like I'm just entering random numbers, and I somewhat am. It's more of an educated guess over a lot of trial and error. Um, and as you can see, it's smaller, but it still fits to an extent. Now, you're probably wondering, well, why can't I just repeatedly mess with this in the file? You can, to an extent, but it's just kind of, if you want to not mess up the original file too much, it all comes down to personal preference and what you think you're capable of. So we're just going to go back. There we go. Now it's basically the same size, as you can see. We're just gonna put it right here. Gonna put it slightly down, try to line it up. Honestly, what I could probably do, they're in the same. Whoops. Okay, so make sure that they're not in the same layer. If they're in the same layer, you can't edit one at a time. The way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna line them up directly with the waistband. So now you can lock them so you don't accidentally mess with them, and you're just gonna take that right there so you can't see them. Now that we're here, normally you would want to just kind of do this, but what happens if you go over the waistline a bit? Oh no, that can cause the game to glitch. Now, I found this out through error myself. I made some trunks that aren't all that good, and I'm actually going to be redoing. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to just control Z that, right? And we're going to do the simplest thing you can do. You're going to paint bucket it. Now, why would you paint bucket it? That's because you only have the two lines separating, so you just whoops, zoomed in way too much. Just gonna zoom in right here. See this little area right here? You could ignore most of this, but we're gonna be super close with it. We're gonna zoom in and we're gonna use the brush to try to not mess it up very much and have room to change this, right? So now we're gonna go back to right here, make the brush bigger again. At the end of the day, all this really is a little bit of graphic design. It's not very hard. It's very similar to Photoshop. So you're just gonna erase all of this. Gotta zoom in again. You want to be very careful doing this, just, you know, to avoid any texture glitches. Not to say you'll always have them, but it's better to be safe about it just because it's a pain to go back and fix it. So, now what we're going to do, change the waistband color. Now, the way I like to do this, personally, I just like to erase this and then paste right back over it. It's really not hard to just, like that. But if you don't want to do that, you can literally just go straight over it. It doesn't matter at all. So now, okay, this is what our trunks are going to look like. It's going to be one color, waistband color, and then two flags on each side. So now that we have this, you want to make sure you're selecting the top layer group, which is the entire group as a whole. Each of these is an individual layer. If you select either one of them, it's going to export that individual layer instead of the group. You want to export the group because that's the file that has absolutely everything, all the changes you made, all of it. So I want to go here, export as, edits, export. Now you're done with your first out of 4. It takes a while, and the reason it takes a while is because you have to do it for every version of the trunk. So you have multiple different versions because of the multiple different materials. So you need to do it over and over again. So, do we need this? We can close it out. But I'm not going to close it out. Now you're probably wondering, well, why would you keep it open if you already finished? Well, the reason why is because you have different files. Now with these different files, you can do different things. This shows what's normally in there. Now, I'm not completely sure exactly how this works, as it works differently depending on the trunks and the gloves. But you can assume that sometimes there are multiple layers that you need to reproduce, and sometimes there aren't, through trial and error, and you have to figure it out, which is quite literally what I did with the gloves. I went through multiple times, messing up the gloves I changed, they did not look good so many times. They looked terrible. But the reason you do trial and error is because, well, it takes time. You learn what you can and can't do, and you can probably get farther than I can. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this green like so. I don't need any of these because I don't want these on trunks. So literally all I'm going to do, you can erase it, you can paint over it. It literally doesn't matter. Just be gone. and that's it. That's all it takes. I mean, it's not hard. You want to When you export these, you want to save them somewhere separate from where the original file was. I can just exit out of these when I'm done because literally all I'm doing is painting over them. So it's not a big deal. It's not like I'm doing anything interesting. We're just gonna keep doing this. I mean, that's all there is to it. We're just gonna keep doing it. Exported, discard. And this one right here will be the last one, so we're gonna do one more after this. But this is the last in the lineup. Now I'm gonna try something different than what I would normally do. Mostly because I have the opportunity, and I was thinking about doing it earlier, and I'm gonna do it now just to see if it works. As if it doesn't, then there's no reason to worry about it. If it does work, then it's important that it's in the video because it would be changing the material type to an extent. Um, I'll go into more detail in a second, but I assume this is velvet, so we're not going to change it. Let's see. This is metallic, I believe. This is sequin. This right here, this goes over here. Okay. So I probably already went through it. I'm gonna try it on the other trunks then, but basically, yeah. So you want to edit these now. If you wanted to change something, which it's very likely, as you know, some things are through doing it, where we're going on the layer that you're editing, the file that you're able to edit the colors, and allows you to change colors. I assume that throwing it on the red would be smarter, as this is a layer where you can't edit the colors, while this layer lets you edit colors specifically. I'm assuming that what's going to happen is the red right here, the green right here, and the blue right here is all going to change when I try to change colors, but I don't know. We're going to have to find out when it comes down to it. So we're just going to do the same thing over and over again, basically. We're going to go here. We're going to create a new layer group by right-clicking. Make sure the trunks is in the layer group. Copy and paste. And you're just going to do this every time. That's not an exaggeration. You're just going to redo it multiple times over and over again. And you're going to keep doing it, which is why I say it's time consuming and why I try to make it easier on myself, which probably it didn't help with this video. If there are any questions at all, make sure you leave them in the comments and I'll respond to as many as I can. And we're just going to kind of keep going from here. So just gonna try to run through this as fast as possible. That's not an exaggeration. That's just way too zoomed in. Alright, so you can be as, what's the word, perfect with this as you want. You can be as close to perfect as you want. It's basically just, it comes down to, do you want to get every single pixel? I mean, if you do, go for it. Nothing wrong with it. Just be very, careful doing it so you don't screw up, obviously, because when you screw up, it's a pain. You gotta go back and redo stuff, and you just don't want to do that as much as possible. I could literally just do this. It flips on the layer. It wouldn't be hard, as you can see. But why would I do that when I could also just ride over the top with it like this? I mean, you're gonna find out how to make things easier on yourself and how to make it harder as you progress. It's a lot of trial and error is how you learn. You can look up different things about Photoshop just to learn. it's not necessarily exclusive to just Photoshop skills, but it's not very hard to learn this stuff through trial and error, and it's not very hard to learn when you look up stuff. So we're gonna keep everything open after I finish up these trunks for a reason. Um, I'll go through that reason in a minute, but same thing over and over again. Make this easier on myself. Now I don't need green anymore. For instance, by the way, if you wanted to, just as an example, that blue that was the Everlast, if you were to take that color and just put it over this stripe specifically, what would happen is whatever color you would change the Everlast logo to would also change this stripe, and so on and so forth. This stripe would stay the same though because it is black instead of blue. Let me make sure I did this right, because I probably messed up. Editing boots and gloves can be a bit more complex. I can make another video on it, but it's not going to change much. Most of it, you just have to learn through trial and error. I'm going to keep saying that because that's the only way I learned was trial and error nonstop. And so I suggest that everyone else does trial and error. I mean, obviously, you know, if I say you and share what I learned, that's great. You guys can all learn too, but there are going to be different things that you might find out that I had no clue about by going through trial and error that you wouldn't go through if I sit here and show you everything. Um, I mean, I'll still show how certain things are done, such as if I want to make different gloves, but that video would be hours long. I don't even know how long this video is going to be. I'm going to try and edit it maybe, but it's not looking hopeful. I mean, it's probably going to be pretty long. So, alright, I'm going to go back and delete files in a minute. I'll go through everything as soon as I'm done. So the way this works real quick is those stripes are on the side of the shorts, so you would assume that that's the exact middle on the side, while this right here is the actual middle between the shorts. So if you go over slightly, then what will happen is, let's say I'm just going to use an example. Let's say I'm painting, whoops, okay. Alright, so let's say I'm painting, right? What happens is this color that would be the same as the waistband is going to be both on the left and right side of the shorts. It'll be on the left and right pant leg. It'll be on the inside. So that split directly down the middle is the inseam from wherever. I'm not exactly sure how I would go about messing with that. Someone can enlighten me on it, that'd be great. But I'm not going to mess with it myself. So. Alright, so now we have finished the shorts. 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, and 1-4. So what we're gonna do, open back up the file that had all the different DDS files. We're gonna find regular shorts. Okay, so if we go through, you have to find the names. So this is 21, 21. I believe this should be 14. All right. So right here, all the way through. I can delete these. I don't need them anymore. But what I am gonna do is I'm gonna take this right here and move it. You don't need to do this part where you're moving it. However, what you do need to do, take all these that you just edited. Okay, you're gonna take them, run it through this. It's gonna turn them back into this file right here, which is what you want. Move these here because I don't need them anymore. I wouldn't delete them, but I don't need them anymore. What you're going to want to do is save the vanilla file of the big folder you first took out of your game. So, where are we? Alright, so this is your original file, right? You copied and pasted a version somewhere else, which is the one that you are now going to mess with. Take this vanilla file, store it somewhere safe where you can put it back in at any time whenever needed. Just have the vanilla version of the game unless you want to completely re-download the game again, right? So we have all of these now. What we can do is put everything here back into this little folder. So we have these edited versions, right? These can go back where we found them. Now by that I mean the original files were in this folder and we're just gonna replace them. That's it. Replace the files in the destination. So now that we've messed with these files, come here, you have all of this. You're going to want to go back and you're going to want to open up the big file extractor. Now you could have left it open the entire time. It really just comes down to whether or not you wanted to close it out. We're going to go over to the folder that has our big file, right? And we're going to rebuild it. Now, how do you rebuild it? You're just gonna do this and select the file that holds both the big file and everything that was in it. And you're gonna rebuild it somewhere else. That's it. It's not hard. Don't rename anything just because I don't know if it'll crash it or not. I haven't messed with it. This is just the easiest way for me. Now, in the meantime, what I'm gonna do while this is rebuilding is I'm gonna go to I'll just create a new folder real quick. So this new folder, we're gonna throw my big file in there, right? This is already modded, but it's one I'm using because I know it works. And we're just gonna keep it in there for safekeeping now. Certain things will make your game crash when you go into your boxer select and try to edit them. There are a million different things that can cause it, but if that is the case where your game crashes for whatever reason when you try and edit your boxer after making changes such as these, there are two ways to go about it, right? The easiest way for me is to use the previous big file, which is I have multiple big files that have more and less modded textures, mostly because I know what works and what doesn't, but I also use them so I can just go back to the immediate one I made before if the one I just made doesn't work. And if this one doesn't work, I'll just go back to the file I just moved somewhere else. But this should work, so it's not a big deal. As you can see, this is going to be the new file. Once it's done, we're just going to move it in there. This usually takes some time, so just let it do its thing. as you can see, it's doing this. So normally when this happens, it's normal. Um, I'm not sure why it does it, but it acts like it's gonna crash. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. If it crashes, I just delete the file that it made, and then I redo the same process again, where I just rebuild it. Um, Same way, same thing. I just try to make sure that nothing's corrupted. That way I can launch my game. Alright, so now that's done, I'm just gonna minimize everything real quick. Move it over here. Start up the emulator. Open Finite Champion. This appears just a reshade, make everything look better.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Now we're gonna go to Boxer Share, edit. Alright, let's look at Ali, right? So, I already have modded trunks on Ali, but the reason we're going to Ali is just to get his first move pop up. This is what I meant when I say the Detector's glitch. I need to redo these trunks for obvious reason. So these would be the first short ones, the ones we just edited. We're gonna take a look. As you can see, I put it on the wrong layer, I'm assuming. So you have black and white flags. Now, can you change it? Yeah. Is there a point in changing it? Most definitely. But this is just an example of what you can and can't do. Now, me personally, I'm probably going to go back and change it. This doesn't look very good, does it? But this is just to show what you can and can't do. And that's all there really is to it. Afterwards, let's say, okay, I don't know. Let's do some outrageous colors, right? Red. Waistband. As you can see, the waistband is covered up. There is no more Everlast. You can see it up close if you look hard. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day unless you want to place some. We're going to do green. Logo color, blue. Pattern, stripe 1. Yellow. Auxiliary color, purple. So as you can see, some of these aren't used. That's because we got rid of the other stuff. However, as you can see, the flags came back once you edited certain colors. So if I had to guess, if I change this to white, as you can see, different color. If I change it to, I don't know, just say yellow, different colors, right? Doesn't matter, not really. I'm gonna go back and change it anyways. This is, like I said, just showing. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll make another video where I go all the way through everything on both venues and gloves. I'm not very great with shoes yet. I'm still trying to get them better, but maybe someone's better than me, maybe someone isn't. We'll see what it's like. And I hope you guys learned. I hope you guys enjoyed.